salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. There's a lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you. I know that life outside is so hard. There's a lot of things that can tear you apart. I know the roads sometimes feel lonely, but remember you're not the one and only. There's always someone there to help you, a helping hand to pull you through. There's only one thing you should do: take my hand and join the Love and Laugh crew. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then that love and life guide you. Oh yeah.
Coinold. Well, well. Have I got some news for you? I tell you what, YouTube is just a minefield. And I'm going to tell you a little story about community strikes on YouTube. Yes, the truth got another one, believe it or not. And there you can see it, down here. Strike on the 3rd of November, expires the 1st of February. Now, what makes this strike extraordinary is because, like the previous one, it's for medical misinformation. Here it is, medical misinformation. And if you have a look at what medical misinformation is, it's all to do with treatment, prevention, diagnosis, transmission, the existence of COVID-19. Those are community strike issues. Okay, so let's just understand that. What was I talking about to get this medical misinformation community strike? Eskom CEO speaks openly about the eavesdropping and tracking on his car. That's what the video was about. And it gets a community strike for medical misinformation. I put an appeal in, and it was rejected. It was rejected. Can you believe it? This is how absolutely disgraceful YouTube is. And I believe there's actually something quite sinister behind this community strike, because I think it was orchestrated. And you've got to understand that there are people behind this. This wasn't a community strike by artificial intelligence. This is a video that's been up there for a month. And it's nefarious what's gone on here. And I'm pretty sure what actually went on behind the scenes. And I'm not going to go any further than that. But what I am going to tell you guys is that Loving Life TV is flying. I'm not going to show you a screen that represents the type of videos or the views we're getting on videos on Loving Life TV. Okay, this is The Real Dr. Fauci, an expose by Robert Kennedy. And it's been up for a week. 39,500 views on Loving Life TV. I can tell you now that a lot of the videos we got up there have over 10,000 views. That's a kind of exposure that we are already getting on our new platform, the new super duper platform. So we really don't need YouTube. And YouTube is a completely feral platform, as you've just seen demonstrated. I mean, seriously, giving me a medical misinformation strike when I'm talking about a listening device? You know, these guys are completely off the rails. Now, okay, I've had my rant. Let's get back to our discussion tonight. And tonight, I'm going to call this a real people session, because we're talking to two lovely guests, Rolanda and Bill Le Roux, about their journey after losing a child. And their testimony is quite extraordinary and led to the book Voetstoots, written by Rolanda. And if you look below this video in the description, you'll see a Facebook link you can take and find out more about ordering the book. All right, I'm going to get Rolanda on, and she's going to bring her husband into the conversation. Here we go. Hi, Rolanda.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Excellent. Do you want to bring your husband into the conversation?
Yes, I'll bring him in.
Let's do that now, so we don't sort of break up our discussion.
Okay.
I love all the little images behind you.
Oh, thank you. Daughter, and there's a picture of my son there.
Yeah.
And my daughter, and there's a cross. My
Yeah.
beloved, all your scars has healed you.
Hi there, Bill. How are you?
Hello, finding you. How's it going?
Excellent. Excellent. Now,
That's
obviously,
good.
you two guys know each other. You've been married for what, 17 years or something? Is that right?
No, who's this beautiful lady? Yes, that's correct.
All right.
That's correct.
Now,
17 good years.
Now, you're in a very different part of the world to your wife at the moment, aren't you? You're closer to our sort of time frame, I believe.
Yes, I think you guys are just 2 hours in front of us. So we are 6 hours ahead of South Africa.
Okay, so your time then must be about 6 p.m. where you are.
Oh, currently it's 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh. You know what? I know that feeling. I get up at 2:30 most mornings to do the live streams.
Yes. If you that long on the mines, it's not really that bad.
Yeah. Okay. We won't go any further on that subject. I've been told. Yep. So now, Rolanda,
Yes.
tell me a bit about your life leading up to meeting Bill. Just where you grew up in South Africa, all that sort of stuff. Let's just unpack a little bit about you.
So, actually, me and Bill, his sister was my best friend at school. And then there was always this little boy there at the background. And he saw me in standard 3. And he yelled at me, "I'm going to marry you." And then I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. And life happened. And 7 years later, believe it or not, we got married.
Wow. Well, there you go. Bill, you were right.
Yes, all along. I knew it.
You, you,
Love at
you,
first sight exists.
I've got to say something. In a relationship, it's often good for a man not to be right and admit it. But clearly, in this case, you were right. Okay, so Rolanda, which part of South Africa did you grow up in?
We grew up in Gauteng, where we are living now. It is, say, 50 k's in the opposite direction. And both of us were born in the same hospital, and we grew up in the same town, and we didn't even know it.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
Yes,
It's awesome.
yes,
Now,
it's very amazing.
now, an event happened in your life, Rolanda, which changed your life completely in so many ways, and we're going to unpack that as we go through this this book of yours this evening. Can you tell us about your book, Voetstoots, and how it actually came to be?
Okay, so after this event that happened in my life, everyone told me, you got two little girls, you need to get over it and get on. And then so you keep your emotions intact, and you just keep your head up and you focus on life, because life is going on. And then it was 5 years later, a week before his birthday, I was in my pajamas every single day, huddled up in a corner, and I was crying. And I was telling Billy, I don't know what's wrong. I can't read the Bible. I can't pray. And it's like, where is God in all of this at this moment? Because there's no communication between us. And then he asked me, he said, I'm going to ask you something, but please don't be mad. Don't you think you need to go and see someone? And then I told him, so you think I'm crazy? And then he said, like, no, I don't think you're crazy. I think you are trying to tell me something, but you don't know how to tell me. And someone else is going to find the words to help you through this process. So we made a booking at Poortview. It's a mental institute, but it's for a broad variety of people with who is suffering from bipolar, depression, or whatever it may be. And there's a red line there, and two little girls and a husband was standing there as I was crossing that red line. And then it broke me, because they turned around and they asked, Daddy, when are we going to see Mommy again? And my room was at the path where they need to go back to the car. And I was sitting on that bed and I'm like, okay, God, what do you want from me? And at that moment, we started communicating. It was open. It was God wanted to take me into another wilderness and break open and say, okay, let's work on this now, because now you're only going to focus on your pain. Now you're going to deal with your pain. You are going to address your pain, and you're going to name your pain. And that is how you're going to get through it. So many people tell you to get over it. You can't get over it. You need to go through the pain. You need to go through the loss. You need to go through it to journey to get on the other side.
Yeah. Now, I just want to turn to you, Bill, for a second. You can obviously relate to what Rolanda was going through. What were your thoughts at that point in time? You must have been feeling really uncomfortable about how she was so emotional.
Yes, your whole life is upside down actually when you go through a storm like that. And especially if your partner is broken in pieces. So you feel very powerless in that situation, because you can only do so much as human. You can't really heal somebody's mind instantly. So what a person learns in a time like that is you have to really work through that storm, and on the end of it you actually gain some more knowledge, and you mature in a way, if you can say it that way. So, but as a husband, as a leader of the house and stuff, you feel very powerless. You know that there's a tragic that happened in your life, and then something that's out of your control. So the only thing that we could do is support as much as possible and wait on time. Because on the end of the day, if you go through stuff like that, you learn that time fixes everything or changes the situation. So only thing we could do is support, and also affected many other areas, work, personal life. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to change and adapt to go through or make the situation happen, and to support your partner and hope that everything turns out how it should be.
Well, I can understand why you guys have lasted 17 years, and obviously it's going to be a lot more than that because,
Yes.
you've got a huge heart, Bill, and I take my hat off to you, and I think, um, yeah, Rolanda is a very lucky lady, and I think you're both very lucky, and yeah. Now,
I I think I'm the lucky person. It's
well, there you
because
go.
she built me up like that.
There you go. Now, Rolanda, tell me,
Yes.
what is the heart of your book, Voetstoots? And I just want to remind people again that there's a link to the book Voetstoots below this video in the description. You can actually go and find out about the book and find out more about Rolanda. Back to you.
Okay. The heart of the book is sometimes we think while we are broken, we can't be used. So in my brokenness, I went and I said, okay, God, what now? How can you use me? Because everyone is looking at me and saying, oh, she's losing it. One day you're up, the other day you're down. It's like you're tripping over yourself constantly, and then you're doubting yourself. And then I usually say the book is not for the ladies in the front of the church. It's for that one at the back who's always been somebody's second choice. You are not God's second choice. You were the first choice. He made you and he broke the mold and he took a gasp as soon as he formed you, like, oh, wow, another masterpiece. He didn't say, you see that left ear, no, let's start again. You were his first choice. And as soon as people realize that you were God's first choice, he placed the purpose in you. And no matter what storm you go through, he will be in that storm because he's present inside of any storm. But we as people tend to forget that God is in the storm. So we are so surrounded by the criteria and the critics of this world that we think, okay, I'm broken now, I can't be used. I'm divorced, I can't be used. I went through a tragedy and depression, so I'm labeled as a depression survivor, as I can say it. So, we must be careful with that one because anything can trigger it. Why do we label people? Why can't we look at them the way God look at them? That's why there's 20 chapters there out of a broken place of a woman shouting out to the heavens, say, okay, Lord, use me. How are you going to use me? Surprise me. How is the Holy Spirit going to support me? How are you going to lead me? Because it's in this life that I'm living, and that when life is happening, God is using you. I say you get a street smart Christian, someone who went through a storm, and you get a book smart Christian, someone who learned about a storm but can't identify what's going on inside the storm. I was inside the storm. I was broken. I was going through it. So I can say, from my point of view, on the inside of the storm, this is how I handled it. Where someone else can say, I learned about a storm and I think it's better to approach it like this. But I can't approach a storm because I'm inside a storm. So this book is for women to say, while you're in your storm, I can identify with you and God is there. You will get through it. You will get better on the other side, but the choice is still yours. Make it, stand up with boldness and be the warrior, be the overcomer, and see how God is going to use you through this. And when you come out on the other side, you will be the one that he's leading to go and fetch the others who's inside their storm, stuck there and said, I can't get out. No, my darling, you can get out.
Yeah. You raised a really, really interesting point. And that is that in your darkest moments, when you think
Yes,
God has abandoned you, he hasn't. He's just waiting for you to open the door. That's all he's waiting for. Once you open that
yes,
door, which is what you did, he fills your life.
yes,
What
yes.
what was the greatest lesson you learned going through this? I mean, I'm talking about after your child passed away, and you're now living in this hellish world where I guess you felt a lot of guilt, you felt a lot of pain. Um, what was the greatest thing you learned from everything that you went through?
It is not the big stuff. It's the little moments on the carpet with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, with making memories, looking into your loved one's eyes and saying, "You are the reason everything is better." Not looking at the big stuff, being not searching for something more, but being content at where you are and saying, "God, you know what? I am happy. I don't need any more." By counting your blessings, by not performing to please people, but saying, "Okay, God, it's all about you now." Go to the throne, not to the phone. It taught me that God is your first priority in everything. People will disappoint you, people will hurt you, and people won't understand necessarily what your pain is. And why are you grieving so long? Then it's like, listen, but this is something I need to go through. But when you go into your prayer room, or like I am now in my war room that my husband has created so nicely for me, it is just to go in there and be like David was. David told the Lord exactly how he felt. And we can also have David moments where we can go in and say, "Okay, Lord, listen here. This wasn't a good day. I feel like screaming. I feel like shouting. I feel like throwing something. But I know this is just a moment in time. So please help me to get through this emotion. Please help me to work through it."
Mm,
And and the only thing you can do is hold on to God. He is, like me and Billy also said, and even in our marriage, we are not two, we are three. Because if it's just me and him, it's going to be me and him. And then the flesh will come in. But when it's me, him, and God, there's always a third person to consult. Listen here, God, I'm not happy with my husband at this moment, but I'm going to pray for him. But as soon as you turn worldly and you tell someone else, you're putting your husband in a bad light. And that opens the door for, "Yeah, you know what, husbands is lazy, and. But keep it in the marriage, keep it between you, your husband, and God. Speak to God what is bugging you about your husband, and say, and have the freedom to say, "Okay, God, if it's not him, it's me." And in your family, I've got two teenagers. Oh my goodness, no one prepared you for that. Someone need to write a book. But me, my daughters, and God, you need to go to God and say, "Listen here, we are three grown-ups now. So they are maturing. I already went through life. They are not listening to me. So step in." So you must go to God, go to the Lord, invite the Holy Spirit into everything that you do. The people will disappoint you. So the greatest lesson I learned is, go to the throne, take off your shoes, climb on top of his knees, grab onto him, and just listen to his heartbeat. When you can't do anything else, and say, "Okay, Lord, lead me according to your heartbeat. Lead me according to your passion now," because you can't do it without him. Seriously, there's not one day I can think of that I survived without the Lord. It is because of him and him alone. And I will say it until the end of days. He made it possible for me to get through it.
yeah, yeah. Now, just getting back to your book, Voetstoots, Rolanda, can you name a few of the chapters in the book? And is it in English as well as Afrikaans?
We are busy translating it. So at the moment it's in Afrikaans, but it will be translated. And there's 20 chapters. And the first chapter, obvious to begin with, is where do I begin? Where do you begin to make sense of everything where you are now? Then it is, am I worthy? Am I even worthy because of what I went through for God to work with me, for God to listen to me? Then it is one day at a time. Don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about yesterday. Let's tackle today for today. Let's make today a success. Let's overcome today. Then it is a woman according to God's heart. That is my biggest desire, is one day to get up in heaven and the Lord said, Rolanda was a woman according to my heart. And then you must get balance in life, because if you don't have balance, I usually say, and what I say in the book, women, a husband is the head of the house, but you determine the atmosphere in the house. You are the gentle one. So if you are tensed, if you are unhappy, if you are angry, if you are not balanced, then you will disrupt the atmosphere. The husband will feel it, the children will feel it, everyone, even your cooking will know there's an atmosphere in the house. And then it is to accept yourself. Sometimes it's difficult for whatever someone, what you went through, to accept yourself, because in that moment, as you went through it, something happened, something changed. You are looking at life differently. Sometimes there's a scar left behind because of what you went through, but it's to go and look at the mirror and say, I accept you as well. I love you and I adore you and I will take care of you. Because if you don't take care of yourself and you don't accept yourself, the way you present yourself is how other people is going to portray you. So if I go and I'm like, oh, you know what, I don't like myself and I'm just going to dress like whatever, people are going to pick up on that and say, she's not confident in who she is. And if you're not confident in who you are, you don't know your identity. And your identity is solely in what God made you to be. And
Right.
then at the quiet days, there is going to be quiet days. Days where it is going to be, okay, so what now? I don't hear anything. Where do I go from here? And that is the other important thing that you learned even in school. Why an exam is being presented. The teacher or the one in front is quiet. So maybe it's a test you're going through. It's a quiet day. Then just go. I get a book, a journal, and then I write. Then I say, okay, God, it's a quiet day. Why is it a quiet day? What are you experiencing today? How is the atmosphere? How's your mood? When you're reading the Bible, what specific verse that you read? So in that quiet day, be sensitive. I think then you must go with your senses. And God will even expose a new level of himself in those quiet days. And then from today on, a better you. That's why the book I end with, not the end, it's the beginning. Because you just went through something. In your brokenness, you went through it. So this is not the end, my darling. You received your healing. You are understanding where you find yourself in life. So this is the beginning to the rest of your life. Take your victory and go. Take what God has given to you, what life has taught you in this brokenness of yourself, and go. And just be who God made you to be in the first place, with your broken pieces and all. Because that is how you live in your victory, is by beginning to live after your pain.
Right. Well, look, I just want to, can you show us a book, just bring it right up close to the camera, just so we can see the cover closer? Okay, there we go, Voetstoots. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, perfect. Now, how did you come up with the name of the book, Voetstoots?
Okay, so in it in terms of me explaining it to you, it is as is. So in South Africa, when you sell a second-hand something, there will always be a clause, Voetstoots, as is. So you can't go back to the seller and say, listen here, you sold me something and now it's broken. It's like, you took it as is. And God showed me, I'm taking you as is. I pay the full price. I carry the consequences of what is to come. I know there will be broken pieces. I know there will be a little bit rust underneath. I know there will be sometimes need restoration, but God carried the cost. So he takes you as is. No questions asked. And he won't go back and say, you know what, I thought I got a better deal for you. No. God is taking you as you are, and he says, I am prepared to take the gamble, if I can say with much respect. I'm taking this because I know after restoration, after I take you, I can do something amazing with you. And that is how it came to be, that God says, no matter what, I'm taking you as is, and I will restore you, and I will take whatever consequences there is, because I know the master. That's what I usually say to people is, you can't degrade someone's value according to what you know, because only the creator of that thing knows the value. He knows the time that went in it. He knows specific every single detail. The creator will always say, I know the value of that person. So that's why he sent Jesus to pay the full price. Your price is paid. You must just go up and say, okay, Lord, here I am, restore me. Trust him. But you can't, after you went to the Lord, be the same. There needs to be change, because after you buy a car, you're going to wash it. You're going to put new seat covers. You're going to put a new license, bigger wheels if you're a man. So there has to be a change. Something needs to change. Something new needs to come out of it. You can't stay the same. So God says, okay, don't fix yourself. Come, I will fix you. But come as you are. But you need, as soon as he's done with you, and he sends you and, okay, go do what I ask you to do. You can't be the same. You can't think the same. You can't feel the same. You can't speak the same. You can't dress the same. Things need to change as soon as God says, I take you as is, and I'm going to use you.
Right. Now, Billy, you've obviously read the book. What did you learn from the book, and what did you learn about your wife from the book?
Well, first of all, if you read the book, you'll find out that it's very inspirational and very motivational. So there's a lot of things to take out of this in a positive way. And if you take it correctly and you work through it correctly, surely there will become change in your life for the better. So the one side that I've learned from this book, and the one side from my wife that I learned, is that how big her heart is, and then actually what a humble person she really is. And I understand more of what she actually went through during that times, the pain and suffering, and she expresses it well in the book. And it just shows you that the things she learned while working with God and walking with God, that she expresses it nicely in the book. And I believe if any broken woman works through it and reads through this book, there will surely happen change in her life for the better. So it just showed me that how awesome my wife is, and then no challenge is too big for her, and no obstacle in life will keep her down. So if she can work through a storm like that, and even the situations we were in during that storm, it's not even just about the storm, it's the environment of the storm that also counts. So there was many more working against us in that time. And I believe that while she grew through this time, she didn't even knew that how powerful she can be. So it depends what you take out of this book. There's a lot to offer, and depending on your storm in life and how you see it and how you read this book, surely there will be change, and surely you'll either take a lot from it or just what you need.
Right. Well, look, I just want to say that while you were talking, your wife was brought to tears. I'm just letting everybody know that. And one of the things that I've learnt in life is that everybody has a cross to bear. We all have adversity. We all have things that really hurt
Yes,
us. There's no human walking the earth who doesn't have that. What really matters is how you actually address those challenges. That's really what we're talking about here with your book Voetstoots. So tell us, Rolanda, what's the goal? What's the goal with your book?
My goal is to all you sometimes you get people that crosses your life, then you ask them, you must come to church with us, and then they say, oh, I'm not ready. We've got so much stuff we just need to sort out or get right, or someone will say, oh no, I'm not there yet. Then you're like, no, you don't need to be there yet. God is coming and he wants to use you. You were created for a purpose. So my goal is, the one thing I will say to women is, I see you. I will always acknowledge her. I will look her straight in the eye and say, I see you. And as sure as I can see you, God sees you and he's aware of you. And he wants to be intimate with you in the storm where you are. So don't just huddle up and wait for it to be finished. Stand up, be aware of the storm, look around and identify the hand of God who's reaching out and is asking you, just take hold and trust me in this moment. If you can trust me in this moment, take hold of my hand, then everything will change. I promise you, the moment you look up, the storm will just be like something else. So my goal is on earth, here where I am, to be the hands and the feet, to be a working instrument in the hands of God, to say, Lord, send me where they are broken. Send me where they don't feel wanted. I just want to hug them and say, I see you. And if I see you, God sees you. It's so important for people to be seen, for people to be heard, and just to be there, no judgment. I'm listening to you. If you can say it out loud and you can acknowledge it, that means you give God ground to step in and to work because you are there. The willingness will enter. So I just want to be there and I want to hug them and hold them and say, listen here, my darling, take the hand of the Lord now and it will be better. So I want to be the hugs. If that makes sense to you, I want to be the hug. I want to be there, and they must say, listen here, it's not Rolanda. The Lord worked in that moment. It's not me. You must be willing for God to work in you, through you, and with you. And that is my goal in life. Always, wherever I go, if it's a petrol attendant, if it's a shop assistant, if it's someone on the street, husband, a wife, a man, no matter what race, I want to be there and I want to say, I see you. God, move now in this moment. Touch their heart, change their minds, reach out to them, save them, and bless them.
Right. Well, look, I just want to share with everybody and with you your Facebook page. And as I say, this is linked down below the video in the description. You can just click on the link there. And I see you've got, for a book, you've got a big following. You've got nearly 700 members in your Voetstoots group.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I noticed you mentioned about Loving Life having you on tonight, and we're delighted to do so. And Yeah, it's a really interesting Facebook page, and well done. Now, if someone's wanting to buy your book, do they just contact you through Facebook, or is there another way they can actually buy the book?
They can contact me through Facebook Messenger, or they just comment at any post their name and their number, and I will immediately, as soon as time's allowed it, I will WhatsApp them. The book is only R100 in South Africa,
Wow,
and
that's cheap.
it is so. It's not my goal to make money. It is my goal to serve people and for God to serve, because if you put God first, He says, nearer to me and I will nearer to you, and I will give you the desires of your heart. So if you place
Right.
God first and you follow His commandments, He will bless you. So I want to bless people and I want to serve.
Yeah. Wow. Billy, you've got a great wife, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm a very
Oh, we're
lucky
going to bring
man.
her to tears again.
Yeah, stop it.
No.
Awesome lady.
Okay. Rolanda, what are your dreams
Yes.
for the future?
My dreams for the future is to I want to be there and serve women. I want to be a beacon of hope, I want to stay humble. I want to take off my shoes. I want to sit on the floor with you. I want to be there. Jesus walked through the streets and He served the people. I don't want to have this big, lavish life. I want to do that. I want to serve them there in the street. That's who I want to be. I want to be that one who's there in the moment, in action, always ready to serve, always ready to just be there and to serve. Serve. That's why we are here. We are here to serve each other and to love. If we can't love, we are not doing what we were created to do.
Yeah, well, look, I'm just looking at a comment that's in the side chat, and Marlena, who you obviously know, she's my PA and organizes the live streams. And she said, I found this book at Enchantment Hair Salon in Krugersdorp and decided to contact Rolanda. And I've got to say, Marlena is an extraordinary woman as well. I mean, she's just absolutely extraordinary. Okay, now let's just move on. As I mentioned at the very start, Billy is in Mongolia.
Yes.
You're in South Africa.
Yes.
How does this work? Billy, over to you.
No, it's just hours of WhatsApp Messenger calling. So yeah, obviously the time zone, it's a big difference. So depending on your shift, it depends on the amount of time you spend every day on a video chat.
Yeah.
But I've been here now for 5 years, busy with year number 6.
Wow.
So doing very good on this side as well. We are very blessed, but it takes a lot. It's also not easy on the family and all the stuff you have to offer up. But sometimes for change, you have to put in the work to get somewhere. So not only is it hard to work on the mind, but I believe with your relationship as well, you have to put in the work to make it work.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's after 5 years, it's easier now actually, instead of difficult, because in the beginning, the first year or two, that's when you have to adapt and you have to deal with the loneliness or the difference in your life. So I would say after this time now, it's actually easier to cope with it, and we have found our ways to work through it, deal with it, and make it work. So yeah, no, at this stage, I would say we're in a good place.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about this. Here in Australia, the most remote city in the world is Perth, and that's on the west coast of Australia. It's the most remote city in the world anywhere. And when I think of Mongolia, I think that's got to be one of the remotest countries on Earth. What's it like there, Billy?
It's actually when I first heard about the mine and possible opportunity to come here, I've never actually thought about this place. When I was growing up, there was always jokes or how could you say about Mongolian, but I never knew that this is an actual country and it's actually nicely evolved and how beautiful it is. It's actually a very big country. It's actually very beautiful. The city itself it's very advanced. The mine itself is very advanced.
Wow.
So the mines that I came from South Africa, I thought was big and not too bad and all that stuff. But when I started here, stuff that I dreamt of, tools and stuff that I dreamt of, that I thought somebody must still design. We already found this site. They were actually very advanced and prepared and everything in order. But obviously, it's an awesome experience. We had the opportunity now recently, thanks to the company, to bring the wife over as well to come
Oh,
and see it
fantastic.
after 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So I was thinking that it might not never happen, but actually it did happen. So that was now recently. So I believe even the experience of the place was awesome. It's just something new. It's when I was growing up, it was tough life and everything, but a guy was always dreaming about something bigger or
Yeah.
seeing the world or doing something like that. So I never knew that it will actually happen, especially in a remote place like this. But it's really it's beautiful. It's nice. You have actually everything you need, and obviously the traveling it's always going to be far and it takes time. But that's the only thing I would say that it's slightly down. But the rest is all just positive. And after 5 years, it's still an experience.
Well, Mongolia is of course where Genghis Khan originated, and he played a huge role on the history of the world way back then. Now, talking about Mongolia, is it part of China or is it just bordering China? Because I always get confused because I know it's a country, but is it basically falling under the Chinese Communist Party or is it independent?
It's totally independent, so it sits right in the middle between Russia and China. So it borders Russia and it borders China, but it's totally independent. It's its own government, its own laws, its own people. It does not have to, it's not ruled by China or Russia, basically. It's totally independent.
Right. Now, there's just one thing that, out of interest, that I'd be really interested to know, and that is that if you look at countries like Kazakhstan, the people there almost look Caucasian. Whereas if you look at Russia, as you move east from, Moscow going all the way to Siberia, the people become more Chinese looking. There's like this transition from Caucasian in the west part of Russia going to basically Chinese looking people in the east. And you can understand that because of the influence of China to the south. In Mongolia, the people there, they don't look like Chinese, do they? They've got a unique type of face and how do you find them different, the Mongolian people?
So over time, the routes you travel, basically when Hong Kong was still open for traveling, we used to normally go there through Hong Kong and then directly to Mongolia. So as you fly and travel through the countries, especially when you came to Hong Kong and then when you go through Istanbul, that side over Kazakhstan, you could actually see the transition. Now, as you move on through the countries, closer to Mongolia and vice versa. but they totally independent, totally a race of their own. They look different, it's more
Yeah.
muscular. It's
Yeah.
they have more, how can I say, more strong structural face body.
Yes.
So it's totally different. They're totally independent and in a respectful way. How can I describe it? That if you refer to more Chinese, I would say they, how can I say this? They skinnier or lightly built
Shorter.
versus the, yes, versus the Mongolians. They have a strong structure.
Right.
It's a good
More
bloodline. It's strong
warrior-like.
people.
More like
See it.
Genghis Khan.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Big
yes.
car.
Yeah.
And they and personality wise they definitely different. They see things
Yes.
different as you meet people. Chinese people met a lot of them. It's the way they think as well. Their personalities. They also everything is very independent. But
Yes.
if you can say which country they can compare to or they feel most close to, it would be Russia. So
Okay.
Russia has a big influence, I would say. So yeah, I would say they more, how could I say, more involved with Russia than China.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
And
okay.
they speak Russian.
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating because I've never ever spoken to someone who lives in Mongolia before. So this is a first for me. And I've just seen
Yes.
you drinking from a Coke can. So obviously it's got all the Western stuff there as well. Um, and
Yes.
and that office you're in, that could be anywhere in the world. It's, when I think of Mongolia, I think of, crickets, crick, 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 nothing
Yes.
happening, and just clearly there is stuff happening. Now let's get
Yes.
back to you, Rolanda. I'm going to wrap up this live stream shortly, but um,
Okay.
we've talked about your book. We know how people can buy the book. We've got your Facebook page or link down below this video where they can contact you to buy the book. Um, what is your next step in what is an extraordinary life?
An extraordinary life for me would be to reach more people, to make women think independent, but dependent upon God. Not you are not who the world says you are. You are who God says you are. And for more women to stand up and say, but we are not different than all those ladies that are in the Bible. So go and study each and every one of those ladies. They went through something. And in that pain, God used them. In their circumstances, God used them. They didn't have lavish lives. They also went through pain and disappointment. So the next step would be to, if you want someone to live according to, go back to your roots. And if you go back to your roots, it will be the Bible. Let's get back to basics and do it like they did it. I say we need more courage, we need more faith, and we need more vision in life. Because if the generation from now went through, went from Egypt to the promised land, I tell you, the whole world will be in the desert. Because as the people said, oh, I'm not going on. I'm just staying right here. I'm not moving. Seriously, you told me 2 weeks ago we will be there and we are not there yet.
Mm.
And so to tell people to carry on, just carry on, push through. This too shall end. This is my motto in life. If you're happy, this too shall end. If you're sad, this too shall end. When you're on a high, this too shall end. Because just remember, you are now above. You think you're above everyone, but there will come a moment where this too shall end and someone else will be above you. Someone else will be a little bit better than you. So if you're living according to the criteria of the world, this too shall end. But if you live according to the criteria of the Lord,
Sorry, guys. I think we've just got a little internet freeze on Rolanda's side. Um, Bill, while that freeze is happening, how often do you see Rolanda? You said after 5 years she came across. Don't you get a holiday once a year and go back to South Africa?
No, actually, I'm working here more than 5 years already, but I fly in and out. So during the COVID, it was tough. I was normally stuck here for 8 months at a time and only went home for 8 weeks. But now we're back to normal, slowly adapting to everything already. So now at least I work a 4-2 roster. So it's 4 weeks here, 2 weeks at home. So often I go back home, which is very good. But the last 2 years that passed with the COVID and stuff, it was not that often. I think I was 3 months in almost 2 years that I was back home. But luckily it's back to normal situation now, so I go often home, actually leaving in 9 days again.
Ah, fantastic. Well,
Yes,
look,
yes.
it looks to me like Rolanda's got load shedding because she's
Oh,
just crashed, and yeah, we unfortunately. But look, we've pretty well covered everything I wanted to cover, and we've discussed the book. Look, she's coming back. Here we are.
she's
Welcome back,
back.
Rolanda. I
Sorry, guys, I don't know what happened.
I thought you'd had load shedding kick in.
No. Luckily, it already ended. So as soon as it went, I'm like, oh, no, come back.
Well, look, I was just about to wrap up the live stream, but I'm going to give you the floor, Rolanda, just to perhaps give a message to everybody listening, and in particular people who might be feeling concerned about where they are in life at the moment. You know, those people who are who you can relate to when they're feeling like there's something not quite right. Well, just over to you.
Okay. So somewhere, someone is sitting tonight or today, wherever you find yourself, and you say, God, what is the meaning of all of this? Where do I find myself? Give me a sign. And today I want to say, just by breathing in and out where you are, it's a sign. Because that very breath in you is God. That very breath in you is purpose.
Mm.
So wherever you find yourself now, you need to dig deeper than you ever did before. You got to rise up, dust off, and you need to proclaim and say, God, I need you now. But you need to make a heart decision, not a mind decision. Because in your mind now, it's like, oh, wow, that is nice. I can do it too. No, you need to dig deep and say, I'm going to make a hard choice. If I make a hard choice, it's going to be a real choice, because what the heart is full of will overflow from the mouth. And you will start to proclaim and say, God, I need you. I'm proclaiming it. Even when my flesh don't want to hear this now. My ears is like, oh, whatever. Deep down, I know I need you now. Deep down, I know it's been too long I've been grieving. I know it's been too long. I'm like, okay, God, what about me? I'm just going to be. No, you're not going to be. It's time to step up. Rise up, warrior of God. You were made for a time like this. You were made with a purpose. You were made with a destination in mind. At your beginning, the Lord saw your end, and your end, He will see your beginning. But it's up to you to stand up and keep moving. As long as you keep moving, movement is a sign of life. Movement is a sign of hope. Movement is moving towards something. Move towards the Lord and say, God, just as I am in my broken mess, where I don't understand what's going on, I'm coming towards you, and I plead, save me sometimes from myself in this moment where I doubt that anything can work out. But now I know beauty from ashes. Stand up, claim your victory, walk in your victory, work towards your victory. And no matter how big the pain or the trauma is that you went through, God can and will use you, but He needs your permission because He's been a gentleman. He's not going to force Himself down on you. He's waiting for you to surrender. So go to the throne, not to the phone, and say, Lord, here I am. Use me in my broken mess. And I promise you, you will start to feel healing every single step. And yes, there will be 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. But as soon as you take that step back, rise up. Just keep moving forward. You will make it. You will make it. I promise you. And we're going to see each other in heaven. Okay.
Fantastic. Look, thank you guys so much for coming on tonight and talking to us. And good luck with your book, Rolanda.
Oh, thanks, Scott.
And I just want to say, just from what you were saying there, something that came to me like an epiphany. And that was that when you're actually at your lowest, God is closest with you because He's always there. You've just got to reach out and know that.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, guys, take care.
Thanks.
And Billy, have fun in Mongolia.
Thank you, Scott.
And Rolanda, lovely to meet you. You're an extraordinary woman. You're a fighter and someone who's come through great adversity, and I just take my hat off for you. And guys, have a great evening, and I'm going to wrap up this live stream now. Take care.
Thank you, Scott. Take care.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 All right, guys, that was Rolanda and Billy. And of course, we're talking about Rolanda's book, Voetstoots, which you can see the link down below in the description. Have a great evening. Thanks to the mods for looking after the side chat. And Alta, as someone said, my gosh, you are lightning fast when it comes to those trolls. They didn't even see the light of day. Well done. All right, guys, take care. And I'm going to go out with... let me think. What should I go out with, guys? Should we go out with Hier bly ek boer or Op ons rots? If you want Hier bly ek boer, type 1. If you want Op ons rots, type 2. And then we will go out with that. I'll just take a popular vote from there. Okay, so 1 is Hier bly ek boer, 2 is Op ons rots. I'll just wait for the decisions to come through. Okay, it's taking a few seconds. Okay, Michael says 1. So Hier bly ek boer. Okay. 1. Okay. We'll go with 1. Take care, guys, and here comes Hier bly ek boer.
Meer as 61,000 van ons voorvaders het op die grens vir ons gesterwe, sodat ons vry kan wees. Die is my land, die is my reg, hier is ek boer. Van stof is ek gemaak en sal ek terugkeer. Die Bybel is die woord waaruit ek leer, soos die grond op die aarde. Hier bly ek boer. So diep in die nag sal die vyand kom, maar hier bly ek staan en ek draai nie om, want jy maak my nie bang nie. Hier bly ek boer. Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my zweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voer. Hier bly ek boer. Soos 'n blaassam in die somer wat vreugde bring, my oupa wat maniekie roe kon sing, soos hy stap deur die lande, hier was hy boer. My wortels lê diep in die grond geplant. My siel soos my pa, los ek vir jou die land, en jy hoef nie te vrees nie, hier sal jy boer. Die is my land, waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my zweet, my rug. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoe wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voer. Hier bly ek voor. Die leeuw sal kom, 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 die leeuw sal kom.